Sega.
The typing of the dead. Overkill.
The House of the Dead series is a franchise that I've known about for a while, and I've been trying to get into for as long as I can remember. However, being born in the early 2000s means I kind of completely missed the whole arcade shooter era of gaming. Even if I ever did go to an arcade, my parents would never allow me to play the games with the big guns and the brain-munching zombies. So, one early morning at about 3 AM and 2 monster cans deep, I have a very busy schedule, trust me. I was scrolling through the Steam store and stumbled upon the Typing of the Dead Overkill. Looking at the screenshots, I instantly thought, wow, this looks very similar to House of the Dead. Upon doing exactly one Google search, I found out that it's a spin-off of the 2009 game House of the Dead Overkill, made for the fucking Wii of all things. After dropping a hefty $20 on this near decade-year-old game, one of my worst financial decisions of the year, along with dropping $500 on Hearthstone packs in one night, and buying Cyberpunk 2077 on day of release. I cracked open a third monster can and booted up the game and entered what I can only describe as a ketamine-fueled fever dream. The fact that I was absolutely sleep deprived didn't help my case much either. The gameplay revolves around typing the words that appear on screen in order to kill the oncoming zombies, racking up combos and collecting power-ups and collectibles along the way, which unlock comic book pages, concept arts, and 3D models. The words that you type are, from what I can tell, completely RNG and can cause for quite a panic when you enter a room and are immediately swarmed by a bunch of undead, frantically slamming the keyboard as you attempt to hold on to your flawless run. This game features microwaved graphics, questionable writing, and downright criminal voice acting.
I'm the only one here who gets to shake their moneymaker on that fucking stage, bitches.
So, join me as I attempt to explain to you the story of House of the Dead Overkill. The story takes place over 9 chapters, 8 if you don't count the final one, which is just a boss fight, if you can even call it that. All in all, this would take you about 3 to 4 hours to complete, which is alright if you keep in mind that this was originally an arcade shooter that you were meant to play in one sitting. Our first level takes place in an abandoned spooky mansion on the outskirts of Bayou City, where Agent G and Isaac Washington, our protagonists, meet for the first time.
What the fuck was that for?
They're here trying to find Papa Caesar, a guy who's allegedly responsible for the recent mutant outbreak in the nearby area, and judging by the amount of mutants in and around the actual mansion, might not be far off. So, after blasting our way through the old rickety mansion, we make our way down to the basement and find the Papa himself, and Jasper Guns, a genius scientist who's stuck in a wheelchair. Caesar threatens Jasper's sister. Jasper does not appreciate this one bit and he stabs himself in the leg with what I can only assume is the most potent strain of crack available in 2009, turning him into a bald, telekinetic mutant version of Jimmy Neutron. Trust me when I tell you, this is one of the more normal encounters. After popping some caps into his floating ass and putting him out of his misery, we swap perspective to a woman named Varla, Jasper's sister and self-proclaimed best stripper in the county. She's also trying to get revenge on Caesar for the death of her brother. Upon entering a strip club, she runs into a girl named Candy Striper, who, as you might assume, is indeed a stripper. She's also a dumb bag of bricks, but I digress. It's in this level that the absolute inability of the voice actors really starts showing.
Looks like it's business as usual out here. Another bunch of creeps pawing at your body and tipping badly.
Making me think more and more that they just grabbed the random people off the street, gave them $50 and had them read some lines off a piece of paper. After blasting your way through a bunch of undead strippers and the club's loyal patrons, you make your way into a cellar where you face off against the deadly duo of Chonky Bitch and Stick Bitch. Level 3 sees our main guys follow Caesar to an overrun hospital, complete with sexy nurses and undead babies. Yes, really, undead fucking babies. The level's boss is this chick, reminding me a lot of a discount version of that demon from The Ring. The next level sees our protagonists arrive at a spooky carnival, because we haven't had enough horror cliches yet. After popping some discount Pennywises in their heads, you face off against this level's boss, a circus freak turned into an even bigger freak by the virus, appropriately named Nigel and Sebastian. This is probably the worst boss of the whole game. He's incredibly slow and telegraphs his moves a full millennium before actually doing anything. But hey, at least there's more clowns. The boys then drive off in a stolen ice cream van and listen to some banger tunes.
What the fuck?
Next we saw perspective again, back to Varla and Candy. They managed to follow Caesar to a meat processing plant. This is probably one of the most boring levels, having you go through the same looking rooms and hallways over and over. The boss is a cool looking one though. This Dark Souls reject bullhead fucker, armed with a comically oversized meat cleaver, is another slow one, but at the end it does start to yeet some pieces of meat at the player. After defeating it, Candy gets her arm cut off by the chunky cleaver. She then dies, but the game doesn't take it serious, so neither will I.
Sweet dreams.
The 6th level starts with Varla actually catching up to Caesar, right as he's about to board a train, but it just so happens that G and Isaac also roll up right at the same moment. What a coincidence! Also, I just noticed the ice cream van is named Captain Cream Pie. Real classy. Everyone turns on each other, having a Mexican standoff as Agent G wants to arrest Caesar, but Varla and Isaac want to execute him on the spot for the deaths of her brother and his father. As a standard from movies with scenes where the heroes argue, Caesar easily escapes, hopping on a train and speeding off. The guys give chase, leaving Varla behind because gender equality wasn't a thing in 2009. This level I do actually like. Very narrow hallways, moving your way through the destroyed train carriages. It also introduces a new type of infected. The Rage Mutants, bulky roided up inmates that will instantly grapple onto you, upon which you have to counter them 3 times before bonking them on the head with a hammer, or bonking them on the head with a slightly larger hammer. The end of this level has you fight off against a massive mutant praying mantis creature. He's fast and has the ability to block your attacks. It ends with you blasting its eyes out, causing it to fall back and crash the train. Our next chapter immediately picks up right where we left off, leaving us stranded in a musky swamp. Varla rolls up but gets taken hostage by Caesar, who heads off to the prison with her. The guys have to play catch up and blast their way through the swamp, running into a new type of infected on the way there. The ending boss is his festering abomination, looking like the beta version of The Last of Us 2's Rat King. The boys finally get to the prison, where they meet the warden Clement, whose dialogue is only a little questionable.
You see, I'm not the only individual whose reputation precedes them. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to piss. My dick's on fire. I've been on the road for at least 3/4 of an hour with a bladder full of steaming hot piss, slashing left and right with every turn of the road in a way that a bladder full of steaming piss tends to. Do excuse me.
You enter the prison, doing a bit of everything, rescuing civilians and dispatching dozens of mutants by use of your trusty digits. When you finally catch up with Caesar, it turns out that Clement is actually the real villain.
Thrilling stuff.
He created the virus in order to save his mother because she's getting pretty old but just doesn't want to bite the bullet yet. So, he zaps her boy Caesar via electric chair and gets out of there with Varla and his mother, leaving us to deal with Brutus, a real charming fella who's in prison for a whole heap of crimes, ranging from armed robbery, bombings, and even eating a dog. So, we pop some caps into the big guy's head and we continue our quest to save Varla. When you finally corner the warden and his mother, it turns out that he's removed Varla's brain, stuffed it in a jar, and replaced it with his mother's brain. She also has superpowers now, because why the fuck not? However, Clement seems to have messed up the formula as his mother starts throwing up and falls over a nearby railing, before popping back up, having turned into a giant mutant. The game then cuts to black and shows us that G and Isaac already killed her, without us having to do anything. We of course get psyched out because you don't get to skip the biggest joke in this game.
Appears that way.
You got anything clever to say?
This boss doesn't show any words on screen, just a subject that you need to write words about, like in-game locations or the character's traits. After one attempt I figured out you could just carelessly slam your keyboard, entering complete gibberish in order to turn this otherwise neat concept into a complete fucking joke. After killing the mutant mom, Clement appears one last time, walking into his mother's womb to undo all the wrongs he's done. Yes, really. A chopper appears and the boys hop in, where they share some banter and G confesses his love to Varla's brain. The pilot is revealed to also be a mutant, followed by a cut to black. The end of the credits features a call from Caesar to Isaac, revealing that this is just the beginning of the shit show they have just experienced. He also reveals that his dad is actually still alive, and with that final cliffhanger ends our story of House of the Dead, Overkill. What an absolute fucking trip this has been. This game does also feature the original version of House of the Dead Overkill, where you just use your mouse to aim and shoot at the enemies, but after just a few stages I found this was extremely boring if you're not actually holding a plastic 9mm pistol. There's also 3 more bonus modes. The first one is called Victim Support and has you protecting civilians from mutants in the prison as they're trying to get to exits. Staying Alive is a wave-based mode taking place at the entrance of a hospital, where you attempt to kill as many mutants within the allotted time. Each successful wave ups your combo and gives you a couple extra seconds. The fun part of this mode is that after just a few waves you can quickly turn into an absolute mess, with the mutants sliding up ready to have a go at you. Our final bonus mode is named Money Shot 2 and takes place at the carnival. This is you pressing individual letters rather than words to shoot targets as they go past on rails. There's once again a time limit and a bunch of variations again, like bombs that you shouldn't shoot or curveballs that slide up and down. Well, that basically wraps up this video. It's a unique and original experience and I'd say it's definitely worth a pickup if you can find it at your local bargain bin. Thanks so much for watching this video on an 8-year-old game. I hope you did enjoy it and at least laughed once. If you did, do subscribe and leave a like. I'm gonna be making more stuff soon. Give my Twitter and Twitch a follow if you're on those shit platforms too. If you like my voice, then check out the Cosmic Podcast, a show I host with a bunch of my friends and other creators. All of that's down in the description. A massive thank you to everyone who helped out behind the scenes as well. Have a good one lads, catch yous later.
This life